The Rock Metal Podcast, episode 72, with Broken Jaw. All right, Rock Metal Nation, what's up? This is John from the Rock Metal Podcast. That sample you just heard was Constant Ignorance by Broken Jaw, who I've got on the show with me right now. They're a four-piece punk metal band from Gloucestershire, England, and we're going to be listening to that song as well as one other while finding out more information about the band. Nutsy, welcome to the show.
How's it going?
Fantastic, sir. How are you?
I'm very well, very well.
Very good. Let's go and listen to that track, Constant Ignorance. All right, coming back from Constant Ignorance, my big question for you is, what is the inspiration or story behind Constant Ignorance?
The original concept behind constant ignorance was the fact that in the world that we live in at the moment, there's a lot of rubbish. We'll call it rubbish. There's a lot of rubbish things going on around the world, and a lot of people looking to certain places to find it, and especially you can see that over in America at the moment with everything that's happening, and it's about not following certain things and following yourself and trying to find the honesty in yourself and the kindness in yourself, which is really cool because it transferred over into for us basically a whole thing about domestic abuse, because a couple of us in the band have experienced domestic abuse, be it buying the fact that we were bystanders or involved in terms of being victims of. So therefore it kind of tied in with that, because it's still got that whole feel of just walk away from it. Like, you don't need it in your life. Like, you don't have to be there. Someone else will be there with you, and you can always look after someone else if they need that help as well. So that was the primary belief behind constant ignorance.
Wow, very deep topic. And it reminds me of one time I learned about these card decks called tarot, and there's a card that just kind of stuck out with me, and I saw the image of the card. I've only seen the card like once, but for whatever reason, when you were talking about that, like, hey, you can just walk away. I think it's like the Seven of Swords or something, and there's this girl who's bound in a prison, quote unquote, made of swords, but they're just swords in the ground, and she's not actually bound by anything. So the story behind the card is like, you are not actually bound by anything other than what you place on yourself in your own mind. You can actually undo yourself. And I think also as well, not only could you just take the swords out of the ground, but I think they were only just in the front of her, so she could just go backwards. It's like there's just so many different ways out of a situation, but it's all in your mind for the most part. I thought that there was a very really poignant touch between those 2 points.
It's pretty much spot on, to be honest there, John, because at the end of the day, it is a lot of the time people are holding themselves back, and fair enough, because at the end of the day, I mean, if you're pushed so far, or you feel threatened, or that your mortality is going to be taken away from you, then you're going to try and do whatever you can to survive. But at the same point in time, if you don't shout out for help, then no one's going to be able to help you, and so that's why we did it for domestic abuse awareness, to be honest, and trying to help people in that whole issue. It was funny because we wanted to, like, with the music video side of things, we wanted to try and make it very surreal, but at the same point time keeping realism in there. We wanted people to watch the video and kind of be, oh, they're only animals, they don't really matter type thing, like a cartoon-esque style. And then by the end, you get to the end and the masks come off, and then you kind of go, oh no, wait, that was real. So something that hit deep by the end, but the beginning seems a bit like, oh, it's funny. And it seems to have worked. A lot of people that I've seen or talked to, they've turned around and said, oh, I thought it was really funny in the beginning, and by the end I was like shocked and Christ, like, I didn't know that kind of thing happened as much as it does. So
Yeah. I guess it's surprising for a lot of people to find out even their own loved ones are in certain situations that we wouldn't want them to be in. Now, you brought up the music video, so Rock Metal Nation, if you go to today's show notes, that's rockmetalpodcast.ca. You can go to today's show notes, you can go ahead and see the 2 music videos for the tracks that we're going to be listening to today. So that first track, Constant Ignorance, it has a music video which involves some very cool stuff. Now, my next question was going to be, when you guys were planning that music video, like, how did the storyline and everything come about? How did it go? I guess is just a big question.
Well, I had the general idea for it in terms of, because I was linking it with the original, concept for the song. We had intended to go down a different path with it, but unfortunately, with budget and everything like that, you've got to be very careful. And so we managed to find a way of doing it in the means of how much we had to spend. And with the storyline side of things, we always knew that we wanted to have, the beginning or the essence of that first abuse, different types of abuse in there as well, because there's, I think, I think there's about 6 different types of abuse that are at the forefront, and so we drew from those really. We started off recording it with the parts of us just rocking out in the suits and the masks, and then moved on later on to doing scenes in the house. And when we were in the house, we hadn't actually got to lay it down exactly. We knew roughly what we were going to do, but we didn't know exactly how we were going to do it. So it was kind of just improvised for the most part. But at the same point in time, I think you can't really plan something and it come out as genuine with that kind of subject.
Yeah. What was unique about the writing process for that song?
The writing process, in the first instance, we had the guitarist who pretty much writes the riffs to it and then brings it to the rest of the band. The rest of the band then add their own kind of personal touches to it, and then then I'm the last guy that comes in and does my thing with it. But you'll find that song is pretty old now. I think we're talking 4 years old, but it's been shaped and molded in the first year and a half, 2 years of it. So it's not really changed much in I'd say 2.5 bit years, but that's it's always been a nice flowy structure to it, and seems to be a really good one, because when you get to the middle section with just the bass and the drums and then the vocals, it's lovely, because when you explain what the track is in the beginning, and then when you get to that section, you get everyone to kind of sing with you. It's beautiful listening to so many people care and then chuck out that as loud as they can.
Yeah, very cool stuff. Let's go listen to the next track, Can't. All right, coming back from Kant, same question for you, Nancy. What is the story or inspiration behind Kant?
Kant was a funny one. Obviously, Kant, with Kant, it was a case of that words hold very, very deep meanings, and a lot of people don't understand those meanings to those words, and so just throw it out. Much similar, like I was saying earlier, with constant ignorance with Kant, like the whole stuff that's going on with Charlottesville, a lot of words are being thrown out at the moment that I don't think people truly understand what they mean and how much they mean to certain people. It's a bit of a, it's a bit of a understand what you're saying before you bloody say it. And it was a middle finger basically to everyone that is ignorant in the world and doesn't do their research in terms of finding out what words mean. And maybe we should take things back a little bit and not necessarily be so strict with why people say words, but at the same point in time, consider it. It was a two-sided sword.
Yeah. Now, obviously, a very simple song title. What brought about the name of the track?
The first instance of why we called the track what it was, there's a couple of reasons. First of all, the track was a really difficult one to write, and so therefore it annoyed us, and so therefore we got frustrated and shouted, the word quite a lot. And then the second reason behind it was basically it's my favorite word. There is no other word that sums up pretty much everything in the world. And the third reason is because of what I just listed, everything that everyone seems to focus on in terms of using words to hate, like or using them to tell people that they can't do stuff, or using them to mean. Whereas if you look at a lot of origins of words, they go back to years and years and years, and I think that's where you need to go back and learn the history of what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. Etymology here on the Rock Metal Podcast. Actually, one of my favorite subjects from linguistics anyway is etymology, the history of words, where they come from, how they developed, and very cool stuff actually. I know you mentioned that the track was difficult to write. Now my next question is, what was unique about that writing process other than maybe it was difficult to write?
I mean, it's nice when you go into a room and everything works just instantly. I mean, it's not like it's you know what I mean. Like you walk into a room, like someone brings something in, or suddenly the band just start playing and you start singing, and it's wonderful. It's great. It's a good feeling. But at the same point in time, there is nothing more rewarding than when a track is not working and you either leave it on the back burner for a while and then come back to it, or you graft and grind and you sit there and swear at each other, or you just hash everything out, and then it works. There is nothing more rewarding to get a track out. And for me, this track is probably my favorite in the tracks that we have, purely because it took so much effort to get it to do. It's also not easy for the musicians in the band, like so the guitarist, for instance, Lee. It's a quick track, but what he's playing as well, if he has to play it a couple of times, or a lot of times over, he ends up getting a bit of strain in the fingers. But it was a case of trying to structure it and figuring it out, but trying to get pieces in there that we wanted to, but at the same point in time trying to or do vocals on it as well, with what they were playing. So it was a strenuous one, and it took time, and also we were going through a hard time with members leaving and trying to find new members, and so therefore it just kind of summed it up for us. And that's why we called it what we called it.
Now, you mentioned there's a music video for this track, and so Rock Metal Nation, if you dug that track, you want to see the music video, very cool music video. We'll get Nancy to talk about it quite a bit here, but if you go to today's show notes, rockmetalpodcast.ca, you can go ahead and see both music videos. So Nancy, why don't you take us through the story or the inspiration behind the music video for Kant?
With Kant, we've been sponsored by a company called Fireball Whiskey. They've been with us since almost near the beginning, so 4 years to the date now. And we wanted to do something back because they'd done us lots of decent things, and so therefore we were fans of the drink before we even got sponsored by them, and we've loved the drink. And then to find out the drinks company was so lovely and so generous, it just made sense for us to give something back to them. We also wanted to give something back to the people that had been with us from the beginning, but also had been, joining us on the road and stuff like that when we played different places, new places. And so what we did was we asked Fireball very kindly if they could supply us with some lovely drink for each show and some merch to give away. And then we asked for a giant 1.75 milliliter jug, which came empty, unfortunately, because
I guess you got to ask for it to be filled. Eh?
we have a UK middleman. Well, you can't have it filled because apparently the quantities of certain ingredients are different, and so EU regulations wouldn't let us have that. So therefore, we had the UK middleman help us with the bottles, but the jug came empty because of the regulations. So that where there is a means, there is a where there's a will, there's a way. We got this jug. I've still got the jug in my cabinet now. I've got a Fireball shelf in my glass cabinet. It's a shrine to them, and it's sat in there as a trophy now because we stuck the GoPro to it and we gave it out at every show. We got over 250 people swigging from it, and we ended up with over 100 shows, I think it was, or 50 shows that we'd done it at in 4 countries over 2 years. And so it was a long-winded video. There's a couple of festivals in there, and there's a couple of big venues. There's a couple of small venues. And to me, it summed up all that hard work and all that pain and anguish of trying to write that track, purely just to see the smiles on people's faces when they're jumping around, getting drunk and having fun.
Yeah. No, a very cool video, very good time that looks like everybody had there. So Rock Metal Nation, definitely check out that music video. Go to today's show notes. That is the rockmetalpodcast.ca. Now, Nazi, what exciting news do you guys have coming up for Rock Metal Nation to pay attention to?
Well, we've just we've just done these 2 singles at the moment for the album. We're looking to write the album. We've got a couple of local gigs coming up as well, which would be nice. Unfortunately, nothing over near you guys, which is a shame, but hopefully one day we'll pop over and have some fun with some Fireball over there as well.
Mm-hmm, indeed.
But we're hopefully gonna continue writing the album and get that done and get that out. But we'll see if it gets done by the end of the year. Can't make any promises at the moment. We'll have another single come out near the end of the year, and that'll be the 3 singles for the album ready to be released.
All right, very cool. So Rock Metal Nation, pay attention for a new single coming out at the end of the year. Now, the next logical question is, how can Rock Metal Nation find out more about you guys and stay in touch? Is there a website that they should go to?
We pretty much are very avid followers of the social media side of things. So either find us on Twitter, which is the @BrokenJawUK, or go to our Facebook, which is just facebook.com/brokenjaw UK as well. So same one as the Twitter. Nice and easy.
Very cool stuff. So Rock Metal Nation, if you are on the social media circuit, then you're going to go to facebook.com/brokenjawuk. If you're on Twitter, Broken Jaw is available. YouTube, Broken Jaw is available. And I also believe that there is a Reverb Nation page. Is that correct?
Indeed there is, yeah. So you can grab on that as well, and that has the singles, the music videos as well. So all of it is in one place, which is really nice.
Yeah, very cool stuff. All right, Nutsy, unless there's anything else you wanted to throw out there, I just wanted to thank you for taking time out of your day to come on to the Rock Metal Podcast and sharing your creativity with Rock Metal Nation.
Thank you very much for having me, and I look forward to talking to you again in the future.
All right, Rock Metal Nation, hopefully you just found your new favorite band in Broken Jaw. Big thanks again to them for coming on and sharing their music with us. Make sure to head over to www.therockmetalpodcast.ca to get all the information on the show you just heard today. And until then, rock on, Rock Metal Nation.